the soul. And here, very clear, what the tree is, it nourishes. Here again, and here again. And here is an initiation that all women, the sacred tree, the fruit, and the women are handing it to the initiate to the left. Now, the Jesus story through the Roman Church was inverted because in the Nag Hammadi text, which gives us the story of a Jesus that follows the blueprint, we know that is a very important text, these Nag Hammadi texts, because they follow the principles, the organizing principles of the soul, of the psyche, of the blueprint. And in the Nag Hammadi text, this Jesus does not die for our sins. And he says experience is much more important than belief. And becoming Christ is more important than following. For example, I see that I'm running a little bit out of time, so I won't read these, but he makes it very clear, I am not your master. Because you have drunk, you've become intoxicated from the bubbling spring which I have measured out. But if you drink from my mouth, you will become like me. I myself shall become he, and the things that are hidden will be revealed to him. And in other places, he says, you are the light. We all come from a place of light. And in these Nag Hammadi texts, Jesus teaches that the problem is not sin. It's not knowing, if that's the problem. It's that we don't know, we've fallen asleep, and we've forgotten who we are. Now, all of this was existing in the ancient world. These are the roots of who we are. But it was censored, repressed, and suppressed so that we didn't even know that this had existed. But it did exist, and it went underground. The Egyptian Hermetic arts we now know did exist, the Jewish Kabbalah, alchemy, Gnosticism, and the Christianity that Jesus taught, the hidden tradition, did maintain itself as mystic Christianity, or today it's contemplative Christianity. And the beautiful thing about the renaissance of this knowledge, which I'll talk about in a minute, is that it just blossomed, full bloom, you might say, in the high Middle Ages, especially at Chartres, where they actually worked on achieving cosmic consciousness. And all of these beautiful blueprints came together. But I perhaps another time can do that. But it's quite a story in and of itself. Now, these underground traditions have emerged in our time, but they also emerged 700 years after the church censored everything, and all of the destruction took place, the killing and the burning, and it was 700 years later, and the actual blueprint, you might say, the beauty of Christianity and the Jewish shamanistic tradition, and all of those traditions blossomed. In fact, all of them came together. The alchemical, the Jewish, the Gnostic, the Persian. It was an amazing, amazing story that we now know. It came in the Italian Renaissance, Rosicrucian, and German and Romantic period, and it's back today. So that's the interesting thing, is that it has returned today. And now I'll take just a few more minutes to tell a little bit of a personal part of why I'm involved with this. The book is called Merchants of Light, and I'll tell you how I came to that. In 1990, my mother was killed in an automobile accident. And in 1991, our only child, our son, Pishti, was killed in an automobile accident. And 2 years and a few months later, my husband, Ishvan, was killed in a third automobile accident. But before Ishvan was killed, after Pishti died, we experienced his consciousness so profoundly and for quite a long period of time, because he seemed to have a mission to let us know, help us to remember there's no death, that he was fine, and he wanted to help us remember why we had been born, because the earth is going through one of the most powerful transformations. And there were many, many visions we both had, and I wrote about those in The Miracle of Death. And we were very particular. We knew we'd entered a field that was so profound, so different from anything we'd ever experienced, that we recorded everything we experienced. So that I've tried to be very accurate in the book to tell these visions. But the one I want to tell tonight is I had a vision of Anubis, the Egyptian god Anubis, and in his form of the jackal, because a jackal eats dead food and transforms it in his own body into a living force. And so he was really a symbol of what we have to do today. And but in this vision, after Pishti talked with Ishvan about the Anubis as being a symbol of our time, he said, Dad, look up this hexagram in the I Ching. He didn't give him a number or say what it was. He just said it's straight, broken, broken, straight, straight, broken, and start from the top. But when you through the I Ching, you start from the bottom. And this is the Chinese book of science, which from all apparent information one can get and experience, it was a science of change. And so Ishvan said, do we still have that? I think in our lives we've thrown it twice. And I said, well, let me go see if I can find it. So I ran into my study. I did find it, came back. And when I found it, I was so shocked I couldn't even read it. I went over to him and sat down by him, and it was 18 Ku, work on what has been spoiled or decayed. And we knew that it was this blueprint of who we are, our potential to live and experience universal mind. And I said, well, wait a minute, how did you know which hexagram? How did you know straight, broken, broken? He said, he said, that's easy. It's ML, Merchants of Light. Well, Ishvan would sometimes come with some funny twist of language out of his Hungarian language, and I thought, that's really funny. Merchants of Light? Merchants? And I said, well, why that name? And he said, it's Merchants of Light because they know how to distill the darkness and decay into light and life. And he said, like merchants, very important that they're merchants. They sell the knowledge of this process for the price of consciousness, and the entire universe profits. Well, I nearly dropped over when he said that. I thought, this is amazing. And he said, he was so excited about it. He said, there's so many things that ML stands for: mother love, matrix of love, masters of light, and so on. And I thought, for a long time, I just thought he'd come up with it. But I thought it was a little strange, merchants, but I understood it now. But later, after he died, I realized, and he wouldn't have known because Ishvan wasn't a reader of the kinds of things I read, I realized that the merchants of light appear in the Renaissance periods. I was absolutely shocked with that. So it has a visionary existence, or maybe even physical. But I wanted to go back to this, though, before I get to that, is that it's an energy field. It's an energy field of light that Ishvan said, and I've had that experience myself too, that we all know we want more. We know we're more than we are. We want to know how to live in this vaster, creative, loving universe. And we have called, because we want that, we have opened the portals around the earth. And the merchants of light come as an energy field, or people being born on the earth who've already gone through this, and they know how to distill the darkness into light and can teach us. Well, I had a vision before Ishvan or Pishti died. We were doing, two other people and I did a ritual for children, for all our children, and for their healing, and for a way that we could give to them the truth about who they are. And so we could create a world in which our children could live lovingly and creatively and independently. And I had a vision that in that time I was doubting everything, and it was no wonder I had a spirit intervention, because I was doubting everything. But a disc of light came through the glass door, and my eyes were closed. It was a visionary world, and over my head, and a feminine being just circled out of it and went right through the crown chakra, and she sang through me. She's saying, we are the light. We are the light circling around your planet. You have called us and we are here to be with you all three. Can you feel us? Can you feel us? Your planet has called us and we are here. And then later it's saying to all three of us and said, you have drawn to yourselves this day all those on your planet who are creating worlds of love and peace. I knew through the years of questioning and doubts, I knew that this was real. If nothing else was, this was so real. The power and the energy of it was so profound that I could never forget it. And then they said, we are ready to connect to your planet. It was as though we all three knew that the longing on the earth, the calling for this light was intense all around the globe. Everyone who loved had called for this. And the portals had been opened and the light was connected to the planet. And we knew that it would be easier for us to experience that vaster consciousness because this was happening on our planet, because the people on the planet longed so deeply and so profoundly for a planet of love and peace. And after Pishti's death, and actually Ishvan's too, I found drawings of Pishti's, and I remember them once I saw them. When he was a child, a young boy, he started drawing a planet with light right around the planet connected to it, and a beam of light coming toward it. And I don't know that Ishvan ever saw them or knew about them, but after Pishti's death, Ishvan had a vision in which Pishti said, we are certain, we're quite sure at least, that we can connect this beam of light to the planet. And then the day after his memorial, I had a vision of a spiral of souls spiraling around and coming down and being born all over the earth. And I knew that they had come. They held this higher consciousness, and we had called them, and they were here. And I'll never forget the statement that was chanting, but they said, our brothers and sisters on the earth are dreaming a terrible dream. And that terrible dream, of course, we were dreaming because we lost that deep and profound knowledge of the soul, of who we really are. It was interesting that later I read that Patricia Cotorova's son had the same vision, a spiral of light beings. He said when he was a little boy, Mom, this is a very special time and there are thousands of light beings being born on earth who are going to help all of us. I saw them. They are descending from the higher realms. And when they reach the earth, they're going to be born as babies all over the world. And then Peter Donov, not sure I'm getting that right, Donov, he was very much like a Christ figure. He really did live in cosmic consciousness. He was in Bulgaria, and I met a person who learned Bulgarian simply to translate his work, but he's still celebrated, and the dances are done in the high mountains in Bulgaria. But he said, I came to sow the seeds of a new culture of love into a world that has decayed. But, he said, there is hope, because the earth is now entering a new energy field of light, which will make it more possible for us to do this. And then I thought this was very interesting. Sri Aurobindo's ashram in India, the mystics told William Irving Thompson that what they knew was happening, especially the mother had experienced it. She was a partner of Aurobindo, that there was a supramental manifestation of light that has come down from the cosmos and circling the planet, and it will come through each of us. And they say there are no techniques, no gurus to follow. When consciousness is deeply rooted in the heart, the individual is open to and united with this supramental energy that guides each person in his or her own unique evolutionary path. So the blueprint is being created by each person from the heart. It's again those organizing principles of the soul will guide each one of us, as and with our ancestors. But it seems that something very different has happened, that this energy, this light, is coming to help us. And these are just a few. There are a lot of things I tried to mention more in the book, but we are going through a darkness and a decay of our spiritual knowledge, our texts. But everything, I think, is happening. The discovery of our roots in the shamanistic text, and the texts themselves, and the new science of quantum physics, and the new work in the brain and the heart. And now I think so many people are experiencing this in the visionary world of light, and that a light beings and a light energy field that can move through us and reorganize us. I mean, it's the organizing principle. You know how it works with a caterpillar. It just is very interesting. There's an organizing field that moves through it and transforms that caterpillar into a butterfly. And I think that's what we're going through. And we're seeing from many, many different sources that the universe is here to help us because we have asked and we are ready. And that's why I think this is the fifth renaissance of this wisdom. And I think that there's so many indications that we can survive and save our planet and ourselves and our children.
Hallelujah.